Cynthia with today's live painting session, which is actually live but not a painting session. Today I am in northern Michigan, and I thought I'd share with you some of the paintings that I worked on the past 5 days. The weather hasn't been the best here for finding good plein air locations, so I've just been painting in the area where our cottage is, and just, by way of a quick overview of it. Um, it's a little cottage in the woods. There's a little shed over there, and the wheelbarrow that I painted. There it is, right there. Let me back out here again. And yeah, this little cottage, and it was rainy, cloudy, and I had hoped to paint by the water, and it just was not cooperative. It's been a little chilly. There's a campfire area. You can kind of see the light coming through the woods. So I thought I'd spend just a quick few minutes here and talk about these paintings and how I chose these subjects and what I kind of learned from them. So the first day we got here, I managed to paint this little painting of the shed, and you can see by my hand that this is not that big of a painting. Anyway, I thought, well, I want to paint, I got to find something, and the light was on the shed in such a way that it looked pretty interesting. But, the light changes so fast, it can be a real challenge to get the painting done as the light changes. So then it rained for a couple days, and it was cloudy, and it was not good light for painting. But finally this morning I came out and did several paintings, and this is basically that window zoomed in, and with the light, the morning light, which was behind me, and tried to capture the umbrella in the reflection, which not sure that that's exactly what that looks like, but nevertheless, just a little close-up, quick sketch of the window of the cottage. That's the kitchen there. And so, one thing, it's easy to overwork these. It's also hard to have patience. And so I would say, having patience doing plein air watercolor is key. I started more than one of these and I let the window dry, and I started this sketch of the wheelbarrow that's over by the shed there. And so it's real challenging with watercolor to keep the light and to keep the white space and keep it from getting too heavy. So I really hadn't painted like this. Oh, there we go. The sun just went behind a cloud. It's a little easier maybe to see these now. But that was the wheelbarrow. I did the window this morning, and then this was the first day we got here on Monday. It got cloudy pretty much right as I was painting that, and then it stayed cloudy until this morning. So then I decided, well, let me do a couple of other little sketches here. This is kind of looking through the trees, trying to just really look at capturing the light. And I used just mostly ultramarine blue, I think, and yellows to try to create these different greens. And I didn't really use too many other colors with this, just to try to do a little study. And then this one, I just zoomed in on a tree and tried to capture the texture of the bark and, the light shining on the trunk of the tree. So I would say that if you're in a place where you feel like, you're not inspired to paint, or in my case, I wanted to paint, but the weather wasn't that cooperative. I think you need to look around and look for some things. And right now it's 1 o'clock here, so the light is not super great for painting. Like I said, I kind of tried to capture the light filtered through the trees. I thought about painting JJ. There she is, laying in the grass. I don't know if you can see her there. And she moves around too much for me to get a good painting of her. And then the cottage, I just zoomed in on that window this morning, and I thought that made a pretty good subject. And then, of course, over here, I thought the shed was pretty interesting as well, and that wheelbarrow right there. So I don't really have much else. I had hoped to paint, on location here. It's just hard for me to get it set up properly. I don't really have the right camera set up, and the family's chomping at the bit to go somewhere and do something. So let me zoom back in on these paintings a second. And I guess that's all I have for today. I hadn't painted anything kind of realistic for quite a while. And um, so this is sort of my effort to get the rust out and do some quick little on location sketches. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to be back on Saturday. We'll be home Thursday night, and so I'll be back in the studio then. So until then, I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me here for this quick little live stream about watercolor painting and plein air, I guess they call it. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.